Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood Santa Monica personal development show here on Island City, where the beach meets the streets and where iron sharpens iron. Together, we rise. We are super juiced to have a fashion queen that is worldwide here in the building and in studio today. Sister Nancy Elizabeth, who is a creative director, fashion designer, stylist, and consultant, who has the brand and the bridal brand Timeless here on the Coach V Show. Girl, what is up, Tahina? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for making time. I heard you and Q go way back, barbecue show and all that. Welcome to the show. What do you have going on currently? How are things?
Things are great. I mean, currently I just dropped my Timeless collection. We just released our Timeless film, and that collection is available for purchase. And I'm working on projects for some of my dancers. It's time for that. It's that time of the year,
spring,
so all of my competitive dancers are keeping me busy right now. But yeah, just continuing to create and design for different people in the community, really.
No, that's awesome. It is my first time meeting you and studying you prior to coming here to the studio this morning. I mean, you have a long history of being here in the region, that your family has roots within fashion. Start from the very beginning, where you grew up, high school, and all that. Let's start that part of your journey, please. Reintroduce yourself to this audience.
Okay. My name is Nancy Elizabeth. My father came from Manua as a child in the 1960s. He came to Carson, California. And my mom is from Hapaitonga. She came to Carson also in the 80s as an adult. And that's where my story began. I was born and raised in Carson, California. I graduated from Narbonne High School. I later then earned my bachelor's in business economics from UCLA. So Southern California, Los Angeles County, this has been my home. This has been the place that's raised me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And talk about the fashion culture in the last couple of decades in terms of your investment into culture, into fashion, and the fashion industry that you're creating here in Southern California. Talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like fashion is such a unique way to express yourselves, and it's one of the first ways that people gather an impression from you when they first see you. And as Polynesians become more visible on, world stages, a lot of times we're wanting to represent, and because fashion is that first impression, that's one of our first go-tos, when we're wanting to do that and we're wanting to represent our islands and where we come from. And I really enjoy being a part of that driving force that shows the world who we are, how we present ourselves. And fashion is just one of those components that really adds to our identity here in diaspora, and it, always throws it back to our Pacific history.
No, that is absolutely it. I love that. And talk about you as a designer, both in your bridal collection that I've seen, amazing, exquisite, along with the worldwide performers, that it is a reflection, and you're artistic. I would categorize it as accentuating the personality and what your clients really love and are passionate about. Yes or no? And how do you do that? Is that real or not?
Yes, definitely. It's about creating a fantasy and creating a story and creating this world that people can really come and enjoy being a part of and indulge in that moment, and it's an empowering feeling that I get to share and that I get to infuse into these pieces and these looks, and I really enjoy doing that.
Okay, so this is she said empowerment, and I am the empowerment man in America that I teach corporately. And I love that word, empowering and empowerment. I describe it and define it as the self-granting of permission and authority to do, become, and achieve what you want in life, leadership, and that you claim your rights and you take control of your life. Is that not fashion?
That's beautiful. Yes, that is. It's really just being unapologetic and owning the statement that you want to make, and saying it with your chest.
No, that's real. And talk about being unapologetic, because it's so easy to be influenced in any industry by what everybody else is doing and try to copycat that. Talk about how you found your individuality and how your purpose and your meaning and what your vibe was, and then reflecting it in fashion to the world. Was that a struggle at all, or did that come easy?
I mean, it was challenging trying to carve out a space for myself in this fashion industry because I don't conduct my business in the traditional way of a fashion house, you know, and a lot of that has to do with my Pacific upbringing, you know, that really shapes the way that I run my business and the way that I express myself and the way that I do fashion. And it's not how it's traditionally done. So trying to carve out a space for myself to be able to do fashion the way that I want to do it has definitely been challenging. But, you know, like you said, there's so many influences around you and there's so many things you can fall into, and that's what you call losing the plot, right? So you got to stay focused on what you came here to do. You know, there's so many distractions that's going to pull at you every which way, but when you keep your intention, you know, as your focus, that's really how you push forward and you move through what it is that you're trying to get done.
Yeah, that's real. So I found with my entrepreneurs in the Fortune 500 companies it is that I coach, they have gotten there not only by being unapologetic. They're willing to live with the consequences of their choice. They're not so pressured like, I gotta get this or I'm gonna die. It's not that big. Let's just do the best that we can right here and be willing to live with the consequences. Performance increases. So stress decreases. Artistic expression. I'm trying to be fashionable here. Artistic expression increases. Yes or no, or is that even close, or am I off?
Yes, you know, fail fast, right? You're not going to know what works and what doesn't work until you do it. And so you express yourself in as many different ways as you want to until you realize what resonates, what really is in alignment with how you want to present yourself.
Yes, I love that word. That's a personal, so those are some personal development pillars. Resonate, right? Alignment, congruence. Because if not, you're unaligned and you're not congruent, right? Introduce us to your family, your mom and dad by name, please. Because that's what my mom watching the show is going to be like. Tahine ahai. Like, who's the mom? Who's the dad? Yes or no? Like,
yes.
That's how our people
yes,
are, right?
Of course.
And even though we're a professional personal development show, this is also very Tongan, Polynesian, Islander in every way, shape, and form. Please introduce us to your family, your parents.
Of course. My father, his name is John Sautotai Thompson from Ofumanua. And my mother is Lucia Vealui from Ha'apaitonga.
Malie ha'apai.
Yeah.
And talk about being so fluent in Tongan, right? Because you look Tongan, you have Tongan characteristics, right? But girl, you can really slang some Tongan. And tell me, why is that important to you, the culture and the language, how you were raised? You mentioned Offset, why you're so fluent in Tongan. Talk about that, please.
Right, like many of us, you know, I grew up with a non-English speaking grandparent in the home, and that was my mom's mom, my grandma Maikale. And, you know, speaking Tongan every day was just, you know, a normal part of life, especially in trying to communicate with the person who's taking care of you, you know. And then my mom, even though she speaks English, we still speak Tongan with each other a lot at home. It just feels more comfortable. And, you know, there's always ways about your native tongue that you can express yourself that there is no direct translation for in English, you know.
Real.
So, you know, we got to hold on to those things and nurture those things because, like I said, there is no way to express it in English. So
my kids laugh all the time. You're going to crack up, Nancy, right? It's like, how do you say car in Tongan? Ga.
Ga.
What about refrigerator? I see. Right? It's just like, so there's no direct translation, but I love how you said that. There's no direct translation, so we make it sound Tongan, right? But then also, whakaapa-apa.
Yes.
That's a word that respect can maybe come close to. Is that right? Those are some. What are some other Tongan words that in English don't readily and easily translate?
Whakamonuia. You know.
Which means?
You know, you're giving a blessing to someone.
Yes.
You know, and it's so much more. Even when you say it in English, it doesn't hit as hard, giving a blessing to someone.
Yeah.
You say whakamonuia.
Yeah.
You feel it more.
A father's blessing over someone, but that is a deep word. Okay. Man, I forgot what that word meant. That's why I asked what it meant. Hashtag real talk. Talk to this about the fashion industry. Is it the same? So I also talk about how relationships are everything because trust is everything, right? In the fashion game, talk about a Coach V quote that says there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. Is that real and relevant also in the fashion industry?
Of course, in the fashion industry and in every business, right? You know, it is your relationships. That is your currency, or as they like to call it, your network, you know. But your relationships are more than just your network because it's something that you're building, it's something that you're developing, you know, and it's something that you're investing in. So definitely building relationships is a big part of the fashion industry just as much as it is in business and in family life, really.
Very good. I get so proud when I see my kids do something great at sports, right? How does it feel for you as a fashion designer to see Tanel? She's on IG, looked up your stuff. I was like, oh, that's her. I know who that is because she does Tanel stuff. She does Dinah Jane stuff. Talk about the feeling of gratification, especially with the journey that you've been a part of and going through still, of seeing someone on worldwide stages wearing your stuff.
It's incredible. It's an amazing feeling, especially because, you know, it's a collaborative effort. So, you know, the artist is there performing or the artist is there on TV or on stage and you're somewhere watching, but you know that it's something that multiple people had to come together to make happen, you know. And it's just very satisfying and, you know, and it's inspiring. It definitely motivates you to keep going and keep doing it and chasing after that feeling of you know, accomplishing something you set out to do and you know, having a collaborative work that comes to fruition.
So people that are watching this, they're going to go onto your IG, right? So say what your IG is.
Nancy Elizabeth XO.
Okay. So on there it says no DMs, right? So if we can't DM you, so we're going to find you on that. I followed you this morning now that I know. And then everybody here knew you. I'm like, what? Maybe because I don't wear fashion gear like that. And in fact, I'm wearing a suit today because my CEO, Ammon Green, and Kaylani emailed out because we knew she was coming to wear something other than the Nike sweats I usually wear. All right. And I put a hanky in here today, too, for Nancy Elizabeth.
Very stylish.
Yeah. So talk about that. Talk about all those things. What comes top of mind when I say all that? We are a reflection of how we dress. So we communicate a lot of different things. But you mentioned it and alluded to it earlier when we first started it, is first impressions.
Right.
How people perceive you, value you initially, and then also trust. We have certain biases, prejudices, some racisms according to how people dress. Talk about that, how looking professional on a show like this with a person whose fashion is all about fashion, premier in fashion. Talk about that, about how you dress, first impressions is big.
Yeah, most definitely how you dress is the most upfront way that you present yourself. You know, visually, somebody is going to see you before they hear you most of the time.
Say that again.
You know, and
people what?
They see you before they hear you. And honestly, you know, it's sad to say, but growing up, my experience has been for women that they see you, and then if they like what they see, they'll listen to what you have to say. And but dressing isn't only just to express yourself to get attention or to grab attention, but like we spoke about earlier, just being unapologetically yourself, you know. And I feel that the definition of professional wear is really relative, you know, because the definition of a professional is evolving. You know, professionals today don't look like what you imagine professionals to look like back in the day, you know. Suits are an option.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't, to me, that doesn't define whether you're professional or not. You know, you're going to, as soon as you open your mouth, we're going to find out.
In that, in terms of how you speak, I have found that effective communication doesn't even start with what you say and how you hear things or listening. I really feel that the highest performers in the world and what they do in the industry, they're self-taught. How they communicate with themselves, about themselves, is more vital than being able to articulate well or even listen. Your thoughts?
I totally agree with that. And even me personally, that's something I work on all the time, you know, is my self-talk, because there's so many people and out there that you know and don't know, critics and people who will, you know, downplay you and misvalue you, but you can't be one of them. You cannot be one of the people doing that to yourself.
That's right. Especially growing up Tongan, right? Because even the jokes are cuts.
I mean, we developed that thick skin.
Yeah.
You know, we developed that thick skin and that quick wit because, you know, either that or go back in the room and you can't come out until you stop crying and you know how to communicate with everybody else.
Yeah. My wife was like, you're related to those people and you guys talk to each other? Like, look at this motherfucker walking in here like, yeah, especially because first, when I was a Pomona boy, and then rolling back with all the Tongans in Ontario or Pomona First Methodist, shout out to the Wesleyana Church and Halafa boys out there, right? It's like, oh, you think you black, right? Because you an athlete, hang out with all. And then after that, I went to UC Davis, started wearing a little plaid, so I get it from the Gap. And then it's like, oh, si fe palangi. Tuku fe palangi.
Right.
Si o nga pehe ko palangi ko tonga ko. Like that whole thing. Talk about, again, you hear that there's a human reaction in terms of emotion, like, yeah, maybe I'm not. But then you have to respond according to your dreams, hopes, and aspirations. Yes or no in your thoughts?
Yes, that's correct. I mean, you know, being in diaspora is a much a part of our identity as our Polynesian ancestry. You know, we can't just deny that. It's a part of what makes us who we are and how we present ourselves. And even as islanders being in a new space, we're observing, we're looking, we're seeing what we like and what we don't like. And if we do mimic a behavior, it's not that we're trying to be a whole different person. You know, we're trying things out to see what we like and what fits us.
Very good, very good. And lastly here, for all of you joining here on Island City, thank you so much for tuning in. We are here with the Nancy Elizabeth. Check her out on Instagram at Nancy Elizabeth XO. You can't DM, so how do we get a hold of you if we can't DM?
There's an email button.
Okay, good. Yeah, there's an email button on there, and we will email her that way. So thank you for tuning in. As we sign off here, we're going to get her final on, if Nancy Elizabeth had the ear of the world, what would be your message?
My message would be to let your life be the example. Let your life be the proof of what you believe in and what you stand for.
Very good. Just don't talk about it is what we say in Pomona. Make sure you be about it. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Nancy. Give it up for Nancy in the building. Nancy Elizabeth in the building. I always feel better because I got successful Samoans, Chamorros all over the place. But the more Tongans are around on the Coach V show, the better Tongan brother feels. Yay, Ha'apai. Shout out your girls right here. And your boy is from Ha'apai too. But I only claim them when they're successful. Hashtag real talk. So thank you so much for tuning in here on the Coach V show where iron sharpens iron. Together we rise on the Island City where the beach meets the streets. See you next time. Nancy Elizabeth, Coach V. Choo-hoo!